twene mu nyina nsema di atentwie eno na gya ye be hia na ye di ho enkommo akwasai
oh nyame adom ahode ho we say the most important thing is your kwa you know the rest
Eda nyame ase ena ya topics ya discuss ne miensa me pa cho de kan me jada na mani ka mo amane bi kwa na minim say main topic I be discuss nti na enu kwan say me touch on it no and it's a chief justice former chief justice Mami Gertrude Eii Torkonoo wa cho krata de akopie mo high court to say say President Mahama any committee no report no kire say oyenyini free as chief justice ne dibre kura no as supreme court judge ne de on tiase say wo say no so ye jeka ho nti wo challenge eno e wo court to say process no na ni nhye da enye ho nti eno enwa asem no nti me ba cho innocent ye aba no wi na de attorney general because say ni nyina ye law no na de age de na okeka na adwen kire Ghana Bar Association no ato aso
ya ma mencha na mencha watie for na menka say o say growing up no na akra bia we akra wadwen say panyin bia nim nyansa until say obenyina do level bia won so be chance a process nema I put two things together na be say san panyin bia na nim nyansa asada akra o nim nyansa onwu onkra brem no onyini be ye panyini. And it's the same thing. Sana first, not in China, you have no understanding about legal issues. No, be kana be TV, so na radio. So sabi okay, come kwasa some crowd. Why do you say sabi okay Kenyans some? Cause some na okay no one tears yet.
Yeah.
But now if you want Kenya, me say a man for it me really wide.
Sure.
They subject issues to critical scrutiny. Fault then you fault cry once you have your friend sense then you can analyze and look at certain things anything and who say Ghana for not do na venture into some of these areas otherwise they wouldn't go because people anya uncertain understanding and more that are to probe into some of the issues like this. This chief justice issue, I think say what in China would say they see kwa ne anya de oye no na sabi ebuma bam na mum I give credence to the fact say in some Ghana for over the years say your judiciary no aye staffy and there are a lot of chaff aye pia kwa gugum no aye no kre. Because some of the arguments now especially with this new way, clearly within means that this is absolute nonsense and very childish in whichever sense that you want to say it. First of all, or say relief now or seek for the want of jurisdiction, or say president committee now or set it up say tenancy committee was not properly constituted. And this Okasa was not properly constituted under Article 146. Clearly, Constitution outline the individuals as a panel or more, and two Supreme Court judges. And the President Mahama committee, two Supreme Court judges and and other people Nina was in line with the Constitution. So the mere fact that you have issues with the individuals in your twisted mind, you think they are not neutral, whatever. That's a different thing. But the fact is that to argue legally, say it was not properly constituted, on what basis in the law, and our said they were not legally constituted, and now two Supreme Court judges, or Supreme Court judges, other person or a lawyer and or your lawyer, and two Ghanaians, or Togolese, and we Japanese. These are some of the arguments when you are able to ground your argument on some of these things, then people will say you are making sense. But my catch from day one, why supposed to advertising and one say, Lord, and I'm making me nim kind of us and no the sort of understanding about the law is totally different and very shocking because my catch this is the chief justice or the administrative head of the judiciary. Otiminya kukudro fa pen ni paper. Ede court to say a constitutional provision your constitution, my say proceedings of this nature should not be shown on TV, but rather should be held in camera. She had the infantry to right to court to say young vary that particular constitutional provision. Now you know with TV, so but you need to look at the reasoning behind it. This is a chief justice who understands that this is an explicit constitutional provision and no court has the power to vary it. But for her to make a case that change, we are Ghana near, you should be worried. And again, and she's saying, as a chief justice, Now, you need di as a your friend is saying as a Supreme Court judge. This is absolute nonsense. And you see, and I make us say case bia mami we yatena so bia no. The new Chief Justice should be petitioned. Now, open those cases because if this mindset and all the tenor who did this same way, clearly just something untoward might have occasioned somewhere. But because the reasoning and understanding of the law, no, is some way weird because you are Chief Justice, is premised on the facts that we are your friends are justices of the Supreme Court. So when you become your friends a Chief Justice, you are an S official because you cannot be a Chief Justice without being your friends saying Justice of the Supreme Court, of the Supreme Court. So once you're a Chief Justice playing an administrative role, you are an S official, meaning your position as a Chief Justice is tied to the fact we are your friend
Supreme Court
judge. And here is the case. You have been flagged, you are incompetent legally because the constitutional process has been set in motion and you have been flagged as an incompetent person or flouted law. So and some of these things have to do with character. And as a woman, baby, you be here so obi you bet discharge uttermost of integrity and the character. It is not the Chief Justice, it is the judge as a Supreme Court judge. As I don't know whether you get it. So if the whole argument is what from and you are now a disgraced chief, a disgraced Chief Justice. You have been flagged. So what bumra, one famra nyaduma, what the open away, and you as a Chief Justice. It means that integrity is battered. And if there is an institution where absolute integrity is required to engineer its activities, it is the Justice of the Supreme Court. So once you've been removed as a Chief Justice, there is no way that no sensible person can make any argument to say you can come back as what? As a Supreme Court judge. Because you are a disgraced person, you be a good and you must catch us a one family and to find and the member Supreme Court, I'm about telling him say dinasa mano. This thing is common sense. And sometimes you listen to people trying to make argument for some of these. Sometimes you see, just use common sense, reasonable. If you try to be reasonable, you know that some of these things are highly untenable because. For instance, my mom example, Oko teaching hospital, very often the doctors and your friend is saying CEOs. So wako a particular hospital, Oko no CEO at Akwachi or Bash and office, our officer, or Bano for Sono, Yachono as a CEO. Or yes, I did because or in the power as a CEO, no way or take advantage in a Yachono. Some person I yachina say, yeah, some mini, on to be the CEO of the hospital. Now, by a doctor, our hospital. Because assembly has to do with moral character, what display actually say, with integrity. Go to your judiciary, your friends say all the regulations in absolute and in no uncertain terms. So when you're judge, you must espouse integrity. You must advertise integrity. You must live integrity at its uttermost. This is somebody who has been seen and who has been flagged. And a constitutional provision, and as a constitutional provision has been activated. And now you have become a disgraced Chief Justice in Aminu. You become a disgraced officer. Such an officer, you argue with back. Now do you think any serious person will even ever respect the judiciary ever again? Because putting somebody who has been flagged as an incompetent person. So some of these arguments, I don't know, baby, the law. Now I don't know the kind of interpretation sometimes, and I will be surprised. And our money, yes, or somebody should whisper to her, say, oh, good, and you see, years of dedication, there was several arguments now, or making or subjecting who to public mockery. Because don't you ever think, say, what are we a Chief Justice? You are an embodiment of the law. You understand it, and nobody should speak. No, there are other areas that people can just subject to critical scrutiny and begin to ask questions. Your understanding of the law is flawed, and then that brings back to question. And some of it, what's not to be seen there. So, anyway, and all the time, so it's problematic. You understand? That is why I am calling your friends the new. You have the Chief Justice say every single case we are talking no atena so bia no they all ye should give us a reason to go back and probe into some of these, because this thinking and this reasoning, you know, should never be allowed to come anywhere close to be sitting at the Supreme Court bench. So I think it's very embarrassing watching all this. Then coming the to the force, baby, the last time I said we started, the very moment the petition was submitted, the President Kasi let me establish a credence, and I told you on point blank, say there is no going back. This woman, whatever way be, because you see. At the Supreme Court, you know, I think because I do not we are so special. Nipa to me change the future.
Yeah.
There's the only institution ever to me to take your life.
Yeah.
Or bet me I say yenkoku, nansana ya say yamrani ya shisana kakra. But this is the only institution that can withdraw your right to life. So it is such a sensitive institution. Say we are judge now anymore. You must discharge integrity. People have, even though we are nipa there, but you must endeavor, try your best to ensure say you will not. You find say shame public confidence in that kind of idea man for wo. But so better now argument I will make it, and I say president need to me say obesa cannot and process, you know, it's not in line with the dictate of article. Article 146, you know. Ebia or no version any demo already and answer the version Makacho said this whole process is not a novelty. Because Oko constitution and mention chief justice and mention your friend say head of the tribunal whatever and there's some mention of your friend say judges at the Supreme Court. It is a categorization and the process now you remove a judge at the Supreme Court way and one you remove chief justice. The only difference there is just by name and by identification, and a chief justice the only way we are different from a judge on the Supreme Court bench, and say you have been given extra administrative role. Chief Justice no can administrative role.
Yeah.
And your core function is a judge. Is the reason why I be a chief justice sell you are just an S official. A chief justice is premised on the fact that you are a judge. And to win your judge, you cannot
assume that
assume that role. And the flag was we are incompetent. I was say okay, Munji chief justice, you know. Now we have a sense of shame. No reason will even make this argument. So I think that in some now is a bit twisted. Maybe and I make an assemble na who answer for maybe nema nkoye and nipa no motwa ne ho ahye omutu no fo no so no they are not giving her wise counsel because this is, you know, take here at some point I'm told say or the nkrofo kopa president Mahama Chelsea so person resign and that you know nam court na so clearly say if answer me no cry I give you an impression of somebody who is not stable, somebody who is emotionally unstable, and people are just engineer or push you and I'm sure so you see why inspire a lot of people among for channel and why inspire more. This is not an opportunity to be good anymore because some of the arguments she's making obviously are quite childish and they are irrelevant and good anymore. She's just subjecting herself to public ridicule because there is no court. Let me say there is no court in this land. I look at what Tenasa so I'll bet me arrival at a decision say the woman should go back to the Supreme Court. No court. That court will be the most unreasonable court ever. Because that particular ruling will defy reasoning, it will defy common sense, and it will defy logic. It will never happen. So she should know better and stop all this nonsense. You understand? And rather find a way, if there is a way, accept your fate, you still have life. Now the public service in the Yabamano. And I don't go say already Supreme Court. And now Supreme Court. Yeah, I know among from where Bayajuma, they've even almost stop here more in their private enterprises. They are doing better. So is she saying that she cannot thrive and answer that? Because process now. President Akwa Wadrudo, it will be very almost impossible for any court to reverse it. Because don't forget that the president just exercised an executive authority. For it to be revoked, no, you need a mountain of a reason, reasonable, sound, and very logical to be able to cancel it. So the only I think that is just politics. Or are they in free space, you know, because they say not here, you see, because of now, maybe she thought say it was going to trigger a wave of public sentiment among for Bekambiamano. But we say Galamse issue crab a Kata. A chose a Ghana for me no Hosao. Ghana for are concerned about the sanctity of the institution called the judiciary. They don't care about any individual. And to what ho Nasa Braba Obonina Egu Sa judiciary no Fiasamba Obian Kabima Metesa one of MPP boys if you got tonight TV say NDC for aye. You have Ghana for Adro. Now, I know one was some pump chief justice among for no, people don't care. Yeah. Because Abro Moto judiciary no Barbara Bonnet and my ruling as a binyan no. Ya Ghana for warn them. On social media, young people are out there advocating the needs the judiciary will restore its sanity back. People were using it as an instrument of terror. People were using it as an instrument to cow people into subjugation, intimidating people and do a whole lot of nasty stuff. And you think and your friends say we're not turning on you. Young people will waste their time because Chief Justice, who cares about you? Understand? So I think that she miscalculated this whole thing. Mr. President Mahama from Emra, I will be the first person to sit here and call him out. And I'm saying, since the activation of this whole process thus far, nobody, and with her surrogate, when the TV so Kenyans say, oh, article was breached, Nobody. All that they say is, oh, and the floodgate has been opened. A buying for bar, or no super pump chief just me said that me said we shouldn't change any law because there is no constitution under the sun anywhere in the world. You can check any democracy. Granting absolute tenure to anybody operating under a constitution. Always there is a window for removal. Even the president, who is the most powerful person on this land, can be removed through impeachment by parliament. So we cannot create a shield of a position. The best guarantee I will be papa. Now I'm making sure that you inspire public confidence and trust. That tenor safeguarded. But no law, no legislation can safeguard you if you decide to do things. Maybe you got Russia, South Korea, North Korea, other like China, no more democracy, or more dia, and that's a different thing. But in any civilized democratic dispensation, trust me, there is no position that is ironclad. I do I think I talk about our hands are tied. No, we needed to save the judiciary, and for me, that is it. I mean, I don't know my catch up President Mahama said. You see, maybe I sanitizing the judiciary, me focus in near Soha. Say a call from her, Sabi. Kwasia ruling a man for a man or form hono okay be we at the lower court. Most of them travel to the high court and they quash them. Let us spend time and go to the grounds, the lower court magistrate in as a form of
circuit court. Exactly.
Ohana man for a gentleman and kokwane as a for the man will as a binyan signing. Obiako we are kokwane ya jail 30 years in as a form. I think your sentencing regime, we need to look at it holistically. Now you're making sure say and ma for the mrabaya juma and the process is very transparent. Obia otikota odi asem dia no qualify with that integrity and on nipa what demonstrators obaya bias. And now quite a high court now. Most of them I could follow staff almost 100 judges before and sana free home. And some of these people are party executive, people with non-party ties. Very soon, these people will rise and become Supreme Court judges with their own biases. I know that what will be the future of this judiciary. That is why I am calling on whoever becomes the Chief Justice going forward, to spend the time in not look at the judiciary, don't sanitize it, because our culture is one institution we cannot afford to fail. Now see the dear grown-ups and near magic yensema. That's a Ghana for sorry. Obi abedwanu okroma. So it's for Mami way there. Everybody should see her as a disgraced Chief Justice who has been sacked. She's no more relevant in the scheme of affairs. Let us forget her. She can go to court. And I'm saying that this particular way, court in about because this thing has no reasonable basis. I will be generous granting anything. She's frustrated. Unfortunately, she's not heeding to wisdom and wise counsel. And I ogun anima say, Uncle Sungun anima say, no one about to obey. Because never I think Ghana for should focus and ask the president, say, dear Abano Beba Sono, they're not yet cano. Say, sanitize your judiciary, Chief Justice Corner doesn't mean that we are done. But my focus is on the lower court. Unimbi, Uko lower court, Nema Ekosro air time. we need to spend time and make sure that we sanitize the judiciary. And for me, that is the most important thing. I know what Chief Justice our arrogance and then she's fighting her way back to come and sit on what bench. And I always say the impunity in the Supreme Court bench. So I think she should give us a break.
All right, for age Diana to us, so Kofi Simon someone should tell Mr. C don't get here to stop the thank you to. They ask for Chief Justice, leave her alone. She has no case. She's abusing the affirmative action as a woman. Oh, Ebenezer please tell President Mahama for me that if pre-bargaining is a plea bargaining, PLE, so no correct na is favor NPP and NDC criminal, then it must favor the phone stealers, plantain, goat stealers, and food items because they are also Ghanaian. I think I agree with you. If I one more person may corner there, and then we are going to Yakuaneka, number Jame. I don't know what I'm doing too. I think you are making a lot of sense. And see, age,
me side, me no back on, my age, abaso, back also, Obesia, I go day in top. Yes, the Mabona Basne, the courage to confront the fence of the Ghana Bar Association. Many people think that these are a esteemed group of lawyers. They should be the moral compass of the legal fraternity in this country.